The film begins with a dragon raid on a small village, but this isn't just any village. It is inhabited by Vikings, and they were prepared to defend themselves. Hiccup stepped forward to fight, but his father named Stoik the Vast, who is also the village chief, immediately sent him back, deeming him unfit for battle. We were meant to know that Hiccup is an apprentice to Gabber, the village blacksmith, and despite being sidelined, he brought out a dragon-fighting invention of his own. Gabber stopped him, instructing him to stick to forging weapons and prosthetics. As the young fire brigade, led by Astrid, worked to put out flames, Hiccup watched longingly, especially admiring Astrid, who caught him staring and laughed with her group. So wanting to prove himself worthy, Hiccup noted that the dragons had discovered the sheep pen and were about to raid it. Having studied dragons, Hiccup knew of one that was never seen, known as the Night Fury, a shadowy attacker also known for striking from afar at night. Determined to gain Viking respect, Hiccup took his weapon to try and bring it down. However, after several tries, he managed to hit something and watched it crash far off, but another dragon noticed him, forcing him to flee. Meanwhile, Stoik was fending off another dragon when he spotted Hiccup in danger and jumped in to save him thereby, causing the battle lines to collapse and all the sheep to be stolen. This made Stoik very furious that he dismissed Hiccup's claim that he'd shot the Night Fury, saying the dragon was just a myth. Hiccup, desperate to show he could be a true Viking, was told by Stoik that he wasn't warrior material. Afterwards, he was sent back to Gabber, and he was mocked by the others for ruining the raid. He later confided in Gabber about wanting to follow in Stoik's footsteps, but Gabber gently explained that maybe Hiccup's path was different. Hiccup refused to accept that and snuck out at dawn to find the fallen Night Fury. That same morning, the village gathered in frustration over the attack, but Stoik calmed them and announced a new offensive. The village shaman blessed the mission, assuring them of success. Afterwards, Stoik spoke privately with Gabber about Hiccup. Gabber informed him that the boy genuinely wanted to be a Viking and suggested training him, as they wouldn't always be around to protect him. On the other hand, Hiccup located the crash site and found a Night Fury entangled in ropes. Thrilled at catching one, he drew a blade to finish it off, but when he looked into its eyes, he hesitated and turned away. Hearing its cries, he cut it loose. The dragon lunged at him but stopped, before then trying to fly away only to crash because of its damaged wing. Back home, Stoik told Hiccup that he will be starting his combat training, but Hiccup, who was now unsure, tried to decline. The next day, Astrid and her squad reported to the dragon training arena, with Hiccup trailing reluctantly. The group teased him before the instructor arrived and announced an elimination-style contest where the victor would be crowned top dragon slayer. The first match began with a dragon release. As the others distracted it with shields, Hiccup hid, and one by one, they were taken out, leaving only Hiccup and Astrid. Hiccup was about to be blasted when the instructor intervened, saving him and warning that dragons always go in for the kill. This made Hiccup question why the Night Fury didn't do so. He then returned to the woods to investigate. There, he found the dragon still grounded. Sketching it, he noticed a missing part in its tail, explaining why it couldn't fly. Back at training, the instructor mocked Hiccup as the weak link and handed out dragon manuals, which most students ignored except for Astrid and Hiccup. Hiccup tried speaking to Astrid, suggesting dragons might be misunderstood, but she brushed him off, accusing him of enjoying special treatment as the chief's son. She declared she will be chief one day. After she left, Hiccup read the manual and noticed the Night Fury page was blank because no one had ever seen one. He added his drawing, confirming the identity. At the same time, Stoik and a group of warriors set off for Dragon Island to wipe out the creatures. When they arrived, thick fog obscured their vision, and they were ambushed. Back at the academy, the students faced another dragon. Hiccup stayed hidden, and Astrid called him to safety as she faced it. She managed to trap the dragon back in its cage. Hiccup returned to the forest with a fish offering, hoping to earn the Night Fury's trust. The dragon didn't approach until Hiccup dropped his weapons. It ate the fish and spit some back to share. Earning its trust, Hiccup mimicked the gesture and ate the fish. He tried to pet the creature, but it recoiled, seeing it as a dominance move. Giving the dragon space, Hiccup sat drawing nearby. The Night Fury joined him. So this time, Hiccup extended his hand without eye contact and succeeded in touching the dragon, before then naming it Toothless. At the academy, Hiccup overheard the trainer say a dragon that couldn't fly was as good as dead. Determined to help, Hiccup used what Gabber had taught him and built a prosthetic tail. He returned to the woods with a new tail, fin, and more fish. While Toothless was eating, Hiccup attached the tail, and the dragon took off with Hiccup on its back. When trying to land, he adjusted the tail, but they splashed into a lake. In the next training session, another dragon ambushed the group. Hiccup, who was facing the threat, uses his connection with Toothless to calm it. The dragon retreated, astonishing Astrid and the others. Later, Hiccup tested how certain flowers affected Toothless' senses and applied this trick to win a training match. He also learned to induce sleep in Toothless and used the technique during drills, impressing his peers, who began to flock to him. Astrid, who was now sidelined, began to train in the woods, and just then, she spotted Hiccup practicing with ropes, preparing for flight. Meanwhile, Stoik and the warriors returned, clearly defeated. Stoik asked about Hiccup and heard from the trainer that his son was now a star pupil, which made Stoik a bit shocked. Hiccup had now mapped Toothless' wing structure and was mastering flight. One day, while in the air, the flight diagram slipped away. Trying to recover it, Hiccup fell off but held onto Toothless just in time. In that moment of panic, he managed to control the dragon and land them both safely. That same night, Stoic visited Hiccup, clearly nervous but proud of what he heard. He gave his son a helmet in preparation for the final trial. In the morning, the last test began. Astrid, eager to win, rushed in, but Hiccup had already neutralized the dragon, earning the title of top slayer and his father's approval. Later, Hiccup returned to the forest and found Astrid waiting. She confronted him, demanding to know how he was succeeding, and asked if someone was helping him. As they searched the woods, Toothless revealed himself. Alarmed, Astrid prepared to fight, but Hiccup assured her the dragon meant no harm. Astrid tried running back to inform the others, so Hiccup rode on Toothless and used him to pick up Astrid and dropped her on the top of the cliff. Astrid finally agreed to listen and was taken for a ride. It was an elevating and exciting experience for her, riding on a night fury. Astrid was finally able to understand, but she felt the others won't, and since he was now a slayer, he was obligated to kill a dragon tomorrow. Astrid decided not to snitch on him, but didn't know how he was able to deal with his situation the next day. They were still flying when suddenly they encountered other dragons riding with them. Toothless followed the dragons, and it led them to the dragon's nest, the place which Hiccup's father had been searching for a long time but couldn't find it. There they spotted a gigantic dragon, which was the alpha as it feeds on the other dragons there, and controlled them, so they quickly returned back to their island. Astrid pecked him and wished him luck. The next day, Stoic was proud as his son was about to slay one of the most powerful dragons. Astrid stood by him wondering how he was going to deal with the situation. Hiccup got to the arena and the dragon was released, but Hiccup, instead of fighting, dropped his shield and helmet and tried taming the dragon. His father was disgusted by what he saw and hit his axe, ordering that the event should be cancelled. Quickly, this disoriented the dragon, forcing it to attack. Toothless heard the sound from afar and rushed to his rescue. Astrid also joined as Stoic ordered her to return, and just as the dragon was about firing at Hiccup, Toothless arrived and attacked the dragon, fiercely scaring it back into the cage. But Stoic was disgusted and attacked Toothless. Toothless was able to restrain him and was about finishing him off, but Hiccup told him to stand down, and as he did, the Vikings rushed towards him and captured him. Stoic was disappointed as he spoke to his son, but Hiccup tried to make him understand that the dragon can be tamed, but Stoic wouldn't listen and reminded him how his mother and countless Vikings had been killed by the same dragons. In the middle of the conversation, Hiccup accidentally mentioned the dragon nest he had been searching for and how Toothless took him there. Stoic then decided to head there, but Hiccup tried to warn him about the alpha and the mistake he was making, but Stoic pushed aside and ordered that they all get ready for an attack the next day. The next day, they put a muzzle on Toothless and used him as a guide to the dragon's nest. Hiccup sat alone as Astrid joined and tried comforting him. She was able to make him think of an idea to help his dad and the others. Meanwhile, the others were close to the dragon's nest, but this time, they haven't spotted any dragons yet, which seemed weird. Astrid was able to assemble her crew for Hiccup, as he was able to help them tame their various dragons, which they will be riding to where the Vikings are. Meanwhile, the Vikings finally arrived at the nest as Stoic ordered for an attack, and they began firing, causing an opening in the cave. Suddenly, dragons rushed out, but they were not attacking. Instead, they were simply just escaping. The Vikings thought they had won. Rejoiced, but Stoic sensed something was wrong. Suddenly, the alpha burst out. It was unlike anything they've seen before. The alpha launches a fiery blast at them, taking out most of the Vikings. The Vikings retreated except for Stoic and Gobber, who stood back, and just as they were about to be attacked, Hiccup and the others arrived riding a dragon of their own, leaving Stoic amused as they set out plans to distract and neutralize the alpha. Astrid dropped off Hiccup where Toothless was tied up as he tried freeing him. They were still combating the alpha, but attacked fiercely, forcing Hiccup and Toothless to sink. Hiccup still tried freeing Toothless, but he was drowning. Suddenly, his father dragged him out of the water and surprisingly went back in Toothless as he had a change of heart. Hiccup rode on Toothless to join his friends as his father informed him that he was very proud. Together, they began taking out the alpha. The alpha was able to spread its large wings and followed Hiccup and Toothless to the sky. There, Hiccup showed the alpha why Toothless was known as the Night Fury, as Toothless unleashed series of attacks while out of sight. The alpha, enraged, engulfed the air in flames. The flames burned of Toothless' prosthetic wing, and while the alpha chased them, they led the alpha back to the volcano as Toothless fired a shot into the alpha's mouth, causing it to explode as it fell into the volcano. Meanwhile, Toothless and Hiccup crash-landed badly, and Hiccup was presumed dead, but on further examination, they realized he was still alive and they all rejoiced. Days later, Hiccup was woken up by Toothless as he surprised to find Toothless in his room. He tried getting down only to realize his leg had been amputated and replaced with a prosthetic. On getting out, he was surprised to see the Vikings and dragons leading together in harmony. He met with his dad, who reminded him of how proud he is. Astrid came around and gave him a kiss, and a new prosthetic wing tail was made for Toothless as he presented it to Hiccup, and they rode together on it. The movie then came to an end. Kindly subscribe for more movie recap like this. Thanks for watching and goodbye.